Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grow.
Oh, the wonders of fall. Some things are totally renewing themselves, like this tall phlox. I clipped off the tops that were all brown and ratty looking, and it's already trying to come back. It is coming back. It won't get tall and bloom again, but it'll have a pretty healthy little green, and then in the spring it will get tall and bloom again. Today I've been clipping off some of these that are all spent and grasshopper eaten. But the color is so pretty that I want to save some of this for seed. These are some of the zinnias that I've clipped off and am saving for seed. And mostly just because if you clip them off, they'll renew themselves and we'll have fresh zinnias. But I do find it amazing to think of what a plant knows. Because, they know, like this one, it's not putting on anything down there at the root. It knows that it's an annual. It knows that it will come back from seed, and it's trying its best to make some seed for me. But I have clipped these off today and left the ones that are the most fresh and taken off the ones that are looking old. This one is looking pretty old too. Actually, I missed this one, but you can tell it's spent, so I'm going to take these 2 off, or 3 off. You may as well take them off because they will be the seed that you want right there. You just have to save that part, let it dry, and just take out the outer petals where the seed is, and you'll have some ready to go for next year. And these are my smaller or shorter plants. They actually do have a smaller bloom. Most of them, some of them do actually have a larger bloom on a short stalk or short foliage, but they all have their own beauty, so we'll have hopefully lots of seed for next year. And I did want to show you these. I left these on purpose because these are some of the ones that went through the summer's heat, and you can tell their color, although some of this is simply because they're getting old, but a lot of it, they looked like this when they first bloomed out. They're just not very bright. But the ones that bloomed out when the weather cooled down a bit are looking great. We also got a floodlight put up for last night, and hopefully that will keep the armadillo from just tearing up our yard like he's been doing. I did cover up some of the holes, but he's put some more down since then. So I'm hoping that the light, I did look up and find out that they do not like the light because they are a nocturnal animal. They like to come out at night. So I'm hoping that we can get rid of that little animal from being in our yard. But I've also seen them out in the daylight, not in the yard though, but I have seen them as you drive along. Every now and then you'll see one out foraging for food in broad daylight. So I don't know if that will stop it, but it's certainly worth a try.
Today is the 23rd of September. Yesterday was the first day of fall. It's supposed to be in the 90s today, but yesterday was such a beautiful day. It was the most beautiful time I've had in the garden this year, and I know we had beautiful days in spring, but I was just too busy then planting and cleaning and taking away old debris. Actually, my husband does that for me now that he's home. So It's been wonderful. He used to drive trucks, so now he's home with me, and we just have been busy, always busy. Look at this. I just laid these in here, and all these little seeds are coming out. This one I just laid in here yesterday, so it hasn't dried enough yet for the seeds to just fall. But look at that. Isn't that a beautiful color? And this one, even though it's fading, the fact is it's a two-tone and so pretty. I'm very proud that I finally got one of these. I actually tried 2 different seed packets before I got one, but now that it's making its own seed, hopefully we'll have some in the garden each year, and hopefully it won't get to be an invasive problem. But right now they're just beautiful, and I'm proud of them. I totally hope that everybody enjoyed yesterday as much as I did. I actually got to talk to my longtime girlfriend over the phone, and she's more than a friend. Her and her whole family are also my family. That's just the way it is. No getting around it, nor would I want to. She was one of the best things that ever happened in my life, and our friendship is so cherished, and I know that she feels the same way, and it just feels so great. Even though all the things we talked about were not all good, there's, as we're getting older, health issues come up, so many things. But just the pleasure and the joy of having somebody in your life that's been there with you, for you, all those years, is such a blessing. And then I talked to my sister that I have made her movie, but I had not yet got it to her, so I'm hoping to get to do that soon. But we got to talk, and it was wonderful last night. And before that, actually, I have a friend from our church that knew my sister Jetty, and they actually she wanted to see the movie. I think, she's just a very nice person, so I kind of accuse her of just being nice. But oh my goodness, she put a whole page full of questions and things. Let's talk about this in the movie and this in the movie, and what happened and how did this happen. And it was just wonderful. We sat and talked, and she shared with me some of the things in her life, and it was just a wonderful time. I planned on getting so much done in the garden, and I did not, but I still had a wonderful time, and I still hope to get a bunch of this done. Look at this. This is that white chocolate snake root plant that I've been telling you about, because it's this beautiful dark color all the time, but in the fall, these beautiful tiny little white tufts come up all over it. And sometimes it's literally, they're bigger than this sometimes, and it just feels it in white, and it's so pretty. I love it. I need to trim back this Swedish ivy. It's just kind of going everywhere and getting out of the way. But I thought I might actually take some clippings and put them in some of my window boxes and have them trail out. So I hope to get that done before our little party, and I have made the date for our last garden party, and this may be the last garden party, or it may not, only God knows that. But I'm not going to plan on committing to another one. We'll see how it goes. There's just too much going on all the time in the garden to stop and have a party. But it's also a wonderful way to tell the garden goodbye, because it's going away, and it will not be back. Not the very same garden, but hopefully we'll have another garden. But it's wonderful to get to just give it a going away party. So I'm going to try to do that at least this one more time. And then I would like to get some things done in the garden that I keep thinking about but never having time to do. But we'll see how that will go. I honestly can't remember if I've already told you, but okay, they said, I looked through Google and they said get a trap. So I put a trap out for those armadillos, and I do mean those, because I got up in the night and caught them that one time out here frolicking and rooting. And actually the next thing was to get a floodlight, so yeah, I did that too. And it's supposed to scare them away, but they absolutely loved it. They were out here all over the yard just digging, rooting, and getting their grub worms, and then they'd also snap up toward the light where there were bugs around it. So they thought, oh, this is fun. So that didn't work. I don't know what's going to work, but I guess I'll have to try to keep trying to get rid of those things. I did get most of my bird feeders or bird baths cleaned out. Not all, but most of them. So I'm doing good, getting little bits at a time done. I did go ahead and put some clippings in some of the pots that were empty or had empty places in them. But I don't know. I knew when I did it, I was probably doing it about 3 days too soon, because I think after the third day, the forecast is for the temperatures to be in the 80s rather than the 90s. So, but it was such a beautiful day, and I wanted to be out here, and I was waiting for my friend to come over. I didn't want to get too involved in something I couldn't leave, so I thought I can do this. So that's what I did, and hopefully they will build a root, even if they should wilt down, which I hope I can keep them even from wilting down totally. And it takes them a while, but hopefully they'll come up out of the wilty, scraggly look and begin to get full and pretty for the garden party. This pretty white cosmos is shining this morning, and I do have some pretty dahlias in bloom also. And I honestly did not even show all this to Oma when she was here, because we were so busy just visiting and talking about the movie and family, and we just enjoyed it. And she had another place to be, so of course there's never enough time. There's just never enough time. When it comes to time and money, there's just never quite enough. I had to go get in front of this one so you could see it in all of its glory. And I have to go down here and show you this little orange thing, which happens to be a Mexican sunflower. Isn't it a beauty? Did you ever see such bright, bright orange, deep, deep orange? I just love this little plant. I'm kind of hoping that it will put down seed and come up all over in this little area here. There's not a lot here. I've got this big hollyhock here, but it's not a good place. I mean, it's got this, let me see if I can turn it over so you can see the back side of it. It's got this disease, which I need to go ahead and have it taken out. I need to take it out of here anyway, but there's nothing else growing over here. It seems to be a little bit hard to get stuff growing here, but I thought maybe these would, and maybe they would kind of stay in this area, because I think they might have a tendency to proliferate and become a problem, even though at first glance it's hard to see how having that in your garden, even many of them, could be a problem. But sunflowers and morning glories, along with, of course, 4 o'clocks, they can actually do it. Look, some of the clematis are blooming today, along with the pretty black-eyed Susan vine bloom. I still have not gotten my little garden decor fix and my little angel back in this pot. That's another thing I definitely want to do before the party, but we'll see how it will end up being. I've just got to do the best I can and go on, instead of trying to wait till everything's perfect, because
you know, you can't be a gardener and have everything perfect all the time, because it's just not the way it is. Nature is just not like that. Some days are perfect, like yesterday, and the weather was so beautiful. I just wanted to hold on to it forever. I wish we could have days like that all summer long to enjoy the garden, and I would get a whole lot more done. I'm just sure of it. Look at this blanket flower, and it will take over. It killed one of my huge, beautiful Lord Baltimore hibiscus one time before I realized it, because the hibiscus is late coming up, and it was already going strong, and it had hidden it in there, and not in this particular spot, but it was blanket flower like this one. But I'm thinking I might try to get some of this started, and I think this is one, so I may not be able to, but I was going to try to see if I could get some of this started in the front where I need something, and it's hard to get anything to grow. But if they put down their own little seeds and grow, they can do that more than they can if you just plant it yourself. There's just something about growing there from a seed as opposed to being something transplanted there that makes things work. And I put my little lamb up here by this little I don't know if you call it arrangement or what, but anyway, and I put some more little cuttings in some of these pots, which the celotias and some of the zinnias are doing fair in them. They're not doing great, but they're doing fair. Look at this pretty celotia here. So it's got enough brightness in it that I think it will be fine. And I bought a little hay bale that I think I'm going to use out here too, and put some fall leaves, decor type stuff here also. That's the plan. And I took some of my clippings from this redhead coleus. Look at that. You cannot beat a redhead coleus, even though there are so many coleuses that are so beautiful. It would be hard to choose just one, but this is definitely one I always want. I put a few more little cuttings in these pots too, and little plants themselves in there. So we'll see if they will take off and go or not. But I am so glad that I finally did go ahead and set a time for the party. I've got to get that done because things are going to start happening so fast. You know, in the fall, that's what they do, because we have such a short fall, and we never know how long it's going to be. There for about 5 years in a row, it was scorching hot and then frost the next day or that night. It was totally like that, and I'm not exaggerating on that, even though I might have a tendency to a little bit, but that one I'm not exaggerating on. And then last year I thought, well, that's what's going to happen again, and instead last year we had a long and beautiful fall and got to enjoy many things in the garden. So, but I'm hoping that it's hard to find in the fall a time to have a garden party because there's so much that needs to be done, and I've done none of it as far as clipping back things, my iris, my peonies, any other thing that I can get done. And then I put my tree up early. If you've seen any of the posts, you know I do. I want that tree up so I can, when I'm cooking for my sister's Thanksgiving reunion dinner, I want that tree up so I can just enjoy the whole essence of holidays, family, and holiday cooking. This little lantana is so pretty. I don't know if this is a good spot for it. It doesn't seem it. I'm sure it could do so much better, but as fall is coming on, it's beginning to perk up. And those colors on there, oh, that's gorgeous to me. I love yellow and red, and this is
it was kind of orange, but now that it's cooler, a little bit cooler, and it's nice this morning, very nice, but it's going to get up to 90 today, so I don't know how much of the stuff I did yesterday will even survive, but I'm hoping it will. Look how this one right here, it has filled out. It hasn't been that full all summer long. It's been more scraggly. It's been trying and it's been going, but nothing like this. So I'm hoping that these will shine for the day when my guests are here. This little rose bush decided, oh, the weather's so beautiful. Let's just bloom and bloom and bloom. Mums are beginning to open. Look at this beautiful color. I hope so many of them are so full by the time we have the party, so that it will just be a riot of fall color. And I rarely throw things away. I use them till there's no use left in them again. But I bought some new pillows for my little party thing too, and just because I needed them badly. As if you can need a pillow, I know, but the ones I had, I thought, well, these don't look so bad, and I picked it up, and just the act of picking it up and your fingers touching it tore them in little shreds, and these were still nice enough to use again, so I'm leaving them. But I did purchase some new ones. Look at this beautiful yellow, Mom. While we're going over, I wanted to show you my new pillows, and this is a couple of them right here. We have not yet gotten rain, and oh, I'm needing it so badly. I mean, we have got a few rains, not very many at all really, but the ground is still hard, and I need to dig this up. You can tell there's several hostas there. I meant to ask Alma if she needed a hosta too, but in the spring I'll try to remember to do that. And I have several, and they're just beautiful, and they're practically no care at all necessary for them. They do need some shade. Most of them do. You'll have to read about the specific one that you pick out, but this one, I know it looks so scraggly, you wonder, well, why is she showing that? But it looked gorgeous earlier on in the season, and because you can tell there are several different individual plants there, I can put this in different spots, and it might take it a 2 to 4 years. Usually they say 3 years. Mine usually take 4. But occasionally, I gave my sister a Lord Baltimore, just a little sprig off of mine, and I planted it for her, and I said, you can thank me later. And I thought it'd be much later, and it was that season it bloomed, and she, it's huge. It's as big as this, practically, if not as big as this little gazing ball when it blooms. So pretty, bright red. And she called me all excited. That excites me when my sisters get excited about something I did for them. Look at this little rose. Again, that weather, it's just like us. The plants are. They're so ready for it. They're just ready to burst, to get to enjoy instead of just to melt. Or should I say, instead of just to wilt. But they're looking great today. And here's another of my new pillows, and another job I started to do and didn't get done, but I'm going to get this one hung back up on the fence where it was, this little decor piece here. He hangs upside down like this, and he's just so cute. But his little fishing line got brittle and broken too, and it will of course do this. But that fishing line, I use the 50-pound one, the one that holds 50 pounds, and it does last a long time in the garden. I know I've shown you this little Santalina before. I actually lost it. I lost it out of the garden at one time because I tried to move it and it didn't move for me. But don't you just, I wonder what God was thinking about the day He created this. It is so intricate. It is so intricate. Each little stem has these little, I don't even know what to call them, but they're just so intricately done. And then each little one itself has another, just right up the line of this little intricate, beautiful, what would you say? It's foliage of some sort, but it's just, its texture is just so unique. So it looks like it's something that he would have had to spend years on to do. And I know he just spoke things into existence, but you know what? It took a lot out of him. I sat there and did those movies for my sisters, and how hard could that be? But it was. It takes a lot out of a person. You know, my nephew Shane, when he had brain surgery, he said, I told the Lord I was going to give my testimony to as many people as would listen. And I asked if our church could have him come, and he did, and oh, it was wonderful. And he said, Aunt Nancy, that's a lot harder than it looks. So, you know, it takes a lot out of you. And your voice even gets, you need a sip of water to be able to keep on talking. So he said it's a lot harder than it looks. So, and that's kind of the way everything is. But you know, God Himself needed a rest after all that, because it did take a lot out of Him to do all that and make all that beauty for us to enjoy. And even though, you know, how we are messing up, well, even though we messed up, I'm sure He let those birds carry some of that seed out. And then He put that in our heart to realize the beauty of nature, and allowed each one of us to make our own little Garden of Eden, as many people call their gardens. And so that God is good. I'm so glad He is, and that He cares for us. Look at this little earth sign. It's been sitting there doing nothing, and it has grown with leaps and bounds. I'm sure none of it was as tall, or any taller at least, than this one. And now they're like doubled, at least, maybe double and a half, tripled in height. So they're just enjoying the weather like we are. We have 3 more days in the 90s, and then it shows that we should have the forecast shows that we should have a week in the 80s, and that's the week I'm hoping to really get some things done out here and get the party well on its way to happening. I actually clipped this little plant down quite a bit, and I think I'm going to try to get a little stake and put in the back part of this, because my periwinkle has just laid back. It's just kind of been pushed back, but I'm going to see if I can stake it up where it will be a little more forefront in this container instead of just laying in the back. I think that will look a lot better. And I may or may not, but I may clip these 2 taller coleuses back
or clip them down so that you can see there's a redhead coleus right back there too. And I think if they were more the same size, it would just be a little more uniform, and I would like it better, although I do like those being tall. And my friend Ruby, she always goes for the tall, full plants. When she comes out here, those are the ones I've noticed that she really reacts to the most. And of course that makes me happy too. And it's just exciting to hear someone else be as excited as you are about a plant. Y'all know my brother gave me this. He painted this for me. He got it at a yard sale and fixed it up and brought it to his sister. I'm so lucky to be his sister. He's gone to heaven now, but I can feel his spirit out here with me sometimes. I remember when he was sitting right over there on that bench where those pillows are one day, and he said, "Sis, you have a beautiful yard. It's more work than anybody should have to do." And I about died laughing because it's absolutely the truth. You know, those things that are true are the funniest of all because you relate to them so well. And it was so wonderful to have somebody else realize, yeah, that's work. That beauty is a lot of work. Look at these bat flowers, aren't they beautiful? Even though I would prefer if I'd have fixed the arrangement a little better, they're just laying or reaching out there into the pathway and not exactly what I would plan, but aren't they pretty? They really do look like little bats reaching out there fixing to fly. And I realize I need to cut back this little ligustrum some more. I cut it back so I could walk under it, but then I realized, you know what, not everybody's as short as you are, Nancy. So I'm going to have to trim this back considerably more so people can walk around this little path. There's not a lot to see back here right now anyway, and this is where I need to trim a bunch of what is there out of here because these are my iris, and I want them trimmed before winter if at all possible, so that in the spring they'll be ready to just come up and go, and I won't have to go through all that old flimsy leaves that are dead and you can't tell where they're connected to the rhizome. That's the worst thing for me, to have to trim back if you wait. And it's not that hard. Oh, it is still hard because you've got to do each one individually, of course, but I want it done if at all possible, so it'll be ready to just shine in the spring. And then on the other side, of course, are my peonies and they have not done much this year. And even this spring they bloomed, but more sporadically. I need to take a little better care of these, I think. One reason I have been watering them this season, but I did not last year because I thought that maybe it would keep the moles from. They love to tunnel. This is where they love to tunnel, right down this row. But I let them, I guess they just needed more care than I gave them because they're still struggled this year even with water. So, and it may even be partially because my grapevine and my blackberry vine may be blocking out too much sunlight too. So I'll see what I can do about all that. Probably need to trim this again too. My husband trimmed these bushes back, you can see right where he did, so that this sunlight could get on my iris. They were not blooming, and I definitely want them to bloom. And there's many beautiful colors here that I want to see in the spring. think I went right past this little white chocolate snakeroot plant here too, and it's got the pretty white tufts. And looking at this licorice plant that's just flowing down so prettily makes me think about my Dachandras, and they too are beginning to flow down. There is this little one. You can see it flowing down. I love this little plant too, and it does not look like much in the spring when you purchase it. So, and even when you put it in the garden, it doesn't start taking this downward flow until later in the season and later in the summer, and then early in the fall. And then when the fall comes, it just takes leaps and bounds downward. So pretty. And my little diamond frost did not do as much as I thought it would. I thought it would just really shine in this little pot, but it's pretty there, but I figured it would fill it out and flow through everything, but it's kind of slow to do that if it's ever going to. This little rose is even also full of bloom today. And of course the mums are even more open than they were the last time I showed you, so I'm hoping they'll have time for many of them to be open and full of color in just a couple or little less than a couple of weeks. And then I'm coming over here to this little pot, because this one has my other Dachandra. Look at that. all the way to the ground already. I remember the time that I was out here talking to you on this, and the winds came. We were looking for them. We were told they would come, but I was right here, and all of a sudden this began to just whir, and it took off. Of course, it stayed in its little pot here, but the bottom part of it just flowed out there because the wind had just got up all of a sudden and did its thing. Everybody should get to experience a garden. Everybody should get to experience Dachandra. I'm not sure how you say it. It sounds like it's pronounced CH. I always think of a ch sound, but I've heard other people use the hard sound. So it may be Dachandra, it may be Dachandra, but whatever, it's definitely beautiful. Look at this cotton candy grass this morning shining in the sun. It's getting big enough now to make a little bit of a showing in the fall. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.